Hello, everybody. Let's see, looks like you're joining now. Okay. My name is Joshua Niederhood. I'm a project associate at TRC, implementing the PG&E Single Point of Contact Service, or SPOC. We have a great webinar ahead of us. Looks like I was a minute early. It's 11 now. Since we'll be hearing from 10 different incentive programs, that's quite a lot to get through, so I'll get things started now, and we'll have time for questions at the end. So if you haven't used GoToWebinar before, I'd like to note we have everyone muted except for the presenters. If you would like to ask us a question, please type it in the questions box of your GoToWebinar pop-up. This can be done at any time during the presentation. A member of our technical team on the call will ask the questions submitted out loud at the end. Please note we are recording this presentation and will share the link with all registered attendees early next week. Feel free to share with anyone who may not be able to attend today. So thank you again for joining this webinar. I'm going to launch a quick poll now to see what kind of mix of attendees we have today. So if you can get those responses in, looks like we have a lot coming in. Wait till we have a few more responses. Okay, I'll close it around now. Looks like a lot of contractors and consultants, as well as developers and representatives from different utilities or governments. So it's good to have a good mix. We'll definitely try to speak to each of you here. Make sure that you come away from today's webinar with a clearer idea of what programs are available to you and which ones you can leverage together for projects in your portfolios. I'll be explaining, just as an overview of how this will work, I'll be explaining what program layering is and how the single point of contact service can help you leverage multiple programs. Then we will hear from program representatives about their offerings and which programs their participants can or have layered with. This webinar will mostly focus on upgrade and financing programs, and we will also touch on new construction offerings as applicable. We have panelists speaking from the following programs today: Energy Savings Assistance, Low-Income Weatherization Program, Building Initiative for Low Emissions Development Program, Solar on Multifamily Affordable Housing, Multifamily Energy Savings Program, California Energy Smart Homes Program, Bay Area Multifamily Building Enhancements Program, Tech Clean California, On-Bill Financing, and GoGreen Affordable Multifamily Financing. So just to quickly explain our role here, the PG&E Single Point of Contact Service, or SPOC, assists multifamily customers with no-cost benchmarking and identifying current program and financing offerings for energy efficiency upgrades and construction, water conservation, and air quality management. We offer a one-stop model to customers. This means providing close support for different multifamily properties within a portfolio by highlighting relevant program opportunities and assisting with applications, enrollment, site visits, and other relevant processes. If you decide to pursue more than one program, we can coordinate with those programs to combine processes as applicable to ease your administrative burden. Our definition for program layering is when a project participates in and leverages multiple programs to achieve greater energy savings and obtain additional resources. The benefits of layering can include, first, maximizing the incentives you get, but that can be either by drawing from different pots of money or covering different upgrades with that financing. And two, streamlining the timing of your upgrades, your eligibility screenings, applications, audits, site visits, and other program steps. We understand that navigating the multifamily program landscape is challenging, and the SPOC service is here to assist you throughout this process. We actively coordinate with all the programs you will be hearing from today to remain up to date on program offerings and requirements. As you hear case studies and recommendations from the upcoming programs, keep these touch points in mind for how SPOC can help throughout your journey. First, we can help you if you come to us directly with inquiries. When that happens, we collect information on your property or project, offer benchmarking, and review available opportunities to identify programs that would be a good fit. We can coordinate with those programs directly to confirm that your property is eligible and then help you apply to them. If you are already at the opportunity assessment stage with benchmarking or audits performed on your properties, we can analyze those results to identify additional opportunities. If you have enrolled in a program, but it does not cover all the upgrades you are interested in, SPOC can help identify whether any other programs can fill that gap. And then once you complete a program, we can also check in at that point to see if there's additional incentives that make sense to pursue for your property, such as renewables or EV charging. Without further ado, let's hear from our first program, Energy Savings Assistance.
All right, thank you very much, Joshua. Hi, everybody. It's great to speak to all of you, and I'm excited to expand on the details of our Energy Savings Assistance Common Area Measures Program, also known as EasyCam, which is what you'll hear me referring to it as quite often throughout the presentation. My name is Trent Jackson. I'm an intake lead for the EasyCam program. Essentially, I'm the primary point of contact throughout the early stages of the enrollment process, as well as for any new interests for the program, regardless of their enrollment status. So let's hop into a high-level overview of the program. EasyCam offers deed-restricted income-eligible properties incentives covering up to 100% of project cost for approved energy efficiency retrofits. As the name of the program suggests, the scope of our upgrades focus on the common areas of a property. These would include such as common area rooms, community rooms, laundry rooms, hallways, stairwells and elevators, outdoor spaces, site parking, and/or central systems. Every project receives no-cost technical assistance, including a site audit, benchmarking, scope of work design, construction oversight support, and field and installation verification. EasyCam is a fantastic program to layer as it boosts building efficiency, enhances quality of life for residents and staff, and maximizes savings and incentives. If you want to go to the next slide for me, Joshua. So let's take a look at some of the program's accolades over the past few years. EasyCam has serviced 163 multifamily projects comprised of 1,264 buildings. We've paid out over $17 million in incentives, saved enough energy to power 5,300 homes for a year, and saved almost 8 million kilowatt hours per year. This is the equivalent to avoiding over 12 million pounds of CO2. In addition to this, you can see from this chart right here the breakdown of our treated projects in regards to the type of low-income residences. Go ahead and go to the next slide here. So how does a project qualify for EasyCam? Here are some of our eligibility requirements. The property must receive PG&E service. This could be gas, electric, or both. Properties can be low or high rise so long as they have at least 5 units, each adjacent to at least one other unit. This would mean sharing a wall or a ceiling, for example. And lastly, we must ensure that projects are deed restricted and that 65% of residents are under 200% of the federal poverty level. Before I move on from these eligibility requirements for EasyCam, I would like to highlight that a requirement of the EasyCam program is for enrolled projects to work with ESA in-unit implementers to offer energy efficiency upgrades within residences, which provides a more holistic renovation for the property overall. Energy saving measures through ESA in-unit can include replacing your refrigerator, repairing or replacing your furnace or water heater, and installing insulation, weatherproofing, energy efficient light bulbs, caulking, low flow shower heads, and many more. Next slide, please. So here we can take a look at some of the EasyCam eligible measure categories. As you can see, our lists are quite extensive, and I'll give a brief broad overview here, but please head to our website linked here on the resources tab in order to find the more extensive list. Some of our eligible measure categories are lighting, appliances and plug loads, heating and cooling, building envelope, and water heating. Next slide, please. So enrollment. Enrollment is open for program year 2022 to all projects that can meet the September 1st, 2022 construction deadline. If a property is interested in the program, please submit an interest form on esacommonarea.com. This will not only allow you to check eligibility for the current program year, but it also allows you to join the waitlist for future program cycles. While your property is on this waitlist, SPOC will work with you to find other applicable programs. You'll also be able to stay in the loop regarding future funding opportunities and program resources. Next slide, please. So here we're going to observe a case study on this particular project, Countrywood Apartments, which was able to undergo a plethora of energy efficient upgrades and retrofits at zero cost. One more, please. As you can see here, EasyCam and LIWP were layered for this project and simultaneously covered different measures to maximize savings and efficiency. It is important to note that this layering was possible because LIWP is not a ratepayer funded program like EasyCam. We have a quote here from Caitlin Rood, who is the former National Environmental Sustainability Director of Mercy Housing, highlighting that layering these programs is what made the entire project feasible. She notes that Countrywood was only able to achieve a zero-cost renovation through the layering of EasyCam and LIWP. So this is an example of one of the many benefits of program layering. And next slide, Joshua. EasyCam and SPOC collaborate on programs to layer for your property in order to maximize incentives and efficiency. For example, post-project completion through EasyCam, SPOC can help refer you to SOMAH or LIWP for solar PV upgrades. For the projects that are enrolled into EasyCam, we identify several major milestones to help distinguish opportunities for program layering, and these milestones can be seen below. As referenced by the case study on the previous slide, this can help to complete a more cohesive list of upgrades. Additionally, program layering can help the construction process by streamlining incentive program processes such as eligibility screening or site visits. SPOC will also help find other applicable programs to layer as well, such as many of the ones that you'll be hearing about today throughout this presentation. And last slide, Joshua. All right, so thank you all for taking the time to hear about our EasyCam program, and feel free to contact me with any questions at any time via my phone number or my email. I'm totally happy to answer any questions, offer any guidance or explanations. And I would also like to mention that we have a contractor-focused webinar and support resources coming in June. So if you want to hear more about that and stay in the loop, sign up for our newsletter at isacommonarea.com. And with that being said, thank you for listening to me today, and I'd like to hand it over to Sarah Hill, representing LIWP.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the Low-Income Weatherization Program. Next slide. So the Low-Income Weatherization Program for multifamily properties is a whole building energy efficiency and solar PV program. And what makes it unique is that it supports fuel switching and electrification as well as solar PV under one program umbrella. It's designed for existing affordable multifamily buildings, and it's really flexible. All measures that result in a reduction of greenhouse gases are eligible for incentives under this program. Next slide. So a little bit about the administrative makeup of the LIWP multifamily program and its funding sources. LIWP multifamily is part of California Climate Investments, a statewide program that puts billions of cap and trade dollars to work, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, strengthening the economy, and improving public health and the environment. The program is overseen by the state's Community Services and Development Department, and CSD works with the Association for Energy Affordability, CRC, GRID, and California Housing Partnership to implement the program. Next slide. In terms of eligibility, first and foremost, the property itself has to be an existing multifamily building, which means it has to have at least 5 units. And it also needs to be affordable, which means at least 66% of the residents have to have incomes less than or equal to 80% AMI. Also, in terms of co-leveraging, for properties at a minimum, they need, if they're going to be co-leveraging some of the programs that you'll hear about today, properties need to hit at least 25% minimum energy savings required in order to leverage LIWP. But properties that are enrolled in LIWP tend to have deep energy savings anyway. Tends to be averaging around 40% energy savings for properties enrolled in LIWP to date. Next slide. LIWP's program design is designed as a single point of contact program. We provide comprehensive technical assistance that starts at intake and will work with your project team from design concept all the way through construction to completion and payment of incentives. We provide flexible and comprehensive building retrofit packages that are paid after the installation of the measures. Next slide. And historically, the LIWP program has been in demand, and we've had a wait list for many years, but we've got some really good news. There's been some new funding, both through the California Climate Investments as well as the Climate Resilient Package in the general fund. So we have some new influx of funding, which we're really excited about. So we are going to be pulling projects off of our wait list and enrolling new projects and doing marketing for this new source of funding. So we're really excited about this. Historically, projects enrolled in LIWP have only been in disadvantaged communities with a very small amount of funding outside of disadvantaged communities. But we're excited to say that we're expecting this new funding to be open to both inside of disadvantaged communities as well as a small amount of funding for properties outside of DACs as well. So we're excited about that, and we'll have more news on that in the future. Next slide. In terms of incentives, LIWP is designed as a tiered incentive, which means property owners' incentives are $3,000 per metric ton of greenhouse gases. So any measure that is going to be benefiting the property owner meters are going to be paid at that incentive rate. And any of the incentives that are going to be benefiting your residents are going to be paid at a higher rate, which is $4,500 per metric ton of greenhouse gas reduced. And in terms of solar PV, it's also a tiered incentive, which is designed for the tenant meters, any portion of your system that's going to benefit the tenant meters, to be designed up to 100% of the cost of the solar installation. Next slide. This slide always makes me laugh because the list of measures that are eligible for incentives is very flexible. It's not a set list. Pretty much anything that could save energy for your building could be eligible for LIWP incentives. Next slide. To date, LIWP Multifamily has served over 8,000 households in more than 219 properties, installed more than 6.4 megawatts of solar PV, and reduced more than 200,000 metric tons of greenhouse gases. Next slide. And if you're interested in participating in LIWP or enrolling, you can complete an interest form on the website. It's very easy to get started, and we will circle back to provide some technical support. We also on the website have a way to sign up for our newsletter if you want to stay involved and get some additional information as the program news continues to come out. So feel encouraged to visit our website to sign up for a newsletter or fill out an interest form. Thank you, and with that, I will pass it on to the next presenter.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, my name is Sophia Hartkoff, and I'm here today to tell you a little bit about BUILD. That is the Building Initiative for Low Emissions Development Program. It is a recently launched program, launched earlier this year. You can go to the next slide. The program provides fairly extensive incentives to cover the costs of integrating energy efficiency and electrification into your new construction project design. So I will mention this is a new construction program, so designed for projects that are being built from the ground up or projects that are undergoing major renovations where more than 50% of the exterior weight-bearing walls are being demolished and rebuilt. The program provides incentives for a variety of different measures. So there's a base incentive for that, similar to the LIWP structure we heard just a moment ago, where there's a dollar paid out per greenhouse gas avoided, I should say, emission avoided. There are separate incentives for the specific improvements that are being made to the resident utility costs. So there's a separate incentive for that. There's also incentives for PV. So this program provides both incentives for energy efficiency, electrification, and photovoltaics. And then there are additional kicker incentives, which I'll get into on the next slide, for a number of other technologies as well. Next slide. So these other technologies that are available through kicker incentives include your typical measures that you might see outside of energy efficiency. So we're talking about distributed energy measures such as electric vehicle charging, heat pump clothes dryers, battery storage, and low emissions refrigerants are just a few examples of the incentives that are available through these kickers. Next slide. So a bit about eligibility. This is fairly critical, similar to some of the other programs we've heard about this morning. This program is designed for affordable housing, specifically low-income long-term restricted housing. So these would be projects that are being rented or will be rented to low-income residents. And in addition, the program requires that the projects go all electric. So that is a very unique component of this program. This is a program encouraging the building of new all electric homes with all electric inside the home itself. So in other words, no gas hookups. So we're talking about electric heat, electric water heating, electric cooking. Those are the three primary areas. And additionally, the program requires that the overall impact not have a negative impact on the resident's utility bill. So in other words, residents should not be seeing increased costs as a result of occupying or living in an all-electric home. So through the program, we will be supporting applicants in understanding whether their design meets this requirement. There are some specific tools and calculators that we'll use to measure the projected utility costs for the resident and ensure that the overall design is not negatively impacting the residents' bills. And then lastly, the project must be located in one of the 4 investor-owned utilities in California. That's Southern California Gas, Pacific Gas and Electric, San Diego Gas and Electric, and Southwest Gas Corporation. So if a property is not located in one of these territories, unfortunately, they would not be eligible for incentives. Next slide. And additionally, since this program is new, I didn't include a slide specific to leveraging, but as we've been discussing today, these programs are often designed to be layered with one another. There are a few exceptions, so you cannot apply for 2 programs to cover the exact same measure. And a really good example of that would be if you're going through build and you're doing solar PV, you can't turn around and then apply for LIWP for a PV incentive. So that would be an example of, or SOMAH similarly, if it's retrofit. So that's an example of leveraging that cannot happen. But other funding sources that we'll hear about later today, such as the Energy Smart Homes Program and the California Energy Design Assistance Program, both new construction programs offered through the investor-owned utilities, can be layered with build. And there are other incentive programs additionally that we anticipate will be layered together with build, and we can work with projects on a case-by-case basis to identify those opportunities. So a bit more information about this program can be found on the Energy Commission website. This is the California Energy Commission sponsored program, and similar to the Low-Income Weatherization Program, this is a greenhouse gas emissions reduction program. So the proceeds from the cap and trade auction are used to fund the incentives through this program. So I appreciate everyone's time today, and for more information, you can access the website or contact us directly and ask about your project. We look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. My name is Victoria Leslie. I'm a program coordinator with the Solar on Multifamily Affordable Housing Program, also known as the SUMA program, and today I'll be walking us through leveraging rebates specifically for multifamily solar. Next slide. So SOMAH is a statewide program that operates in 5 utility territories, including PG&E, SCE, SDG&E, Pacificorp, and Liberty. Similar to build and LIWP, all funding for the SOMAH program is provided by greenhouse gas auction revenues from our participating utilities. SOMAH provides financial incentives to help offset costs associated with installing solar, specifically on multifamily affordable housing properties. And we have a goal to install 300 megawatts of solar power by the year 2030. So some of the benefits that are received through SOMAH are, as I mentioned before, financial incentives, but also energy bill savings for both tenants in common areas and technical assistance and support services. Next slide. Our technical assistance and TA services are completely free and offered to all SOMAH program participants throughout the lifetime of their project or projects. I do mention projects because you can have more than one project. There's no limit to the number of projects that you can apply for with SOMAH. And these services range from energy efficiency support to solar feasibility assessments, interconnection support, and much more. Next slide. So all SOMAH projects must fulfill an energy efficiency compliance milestone during their application. During this milestone, the building's efficiency will be evaluated, and any electric loads that can be avoided by undergoing energy efficiency upgrades will not be incentivized by the SOMAH program. So with that said, we highly encourage properties to participate in energy efficiency programs offered in their utility territories during or prior to applying to the SOMAH program to ensure maximum incentives and benefits. We are currently accepting new applications in all of our utility territories. As you can see on the slide, PG&E is our largest territory and has around $89 million of funding available or left in this program year. Funding is increased annually until program close. Next slide. And the SUMA incentive rate structure. So SUMA incentive rates are calculated by dollar per AC watt, with the tenant serving portion of the system receiving a higher dollar incentive rate than the common area serving portion of the system. The SUMA program does require that at least 51% of the system's production is allocated to the tenants, but to maximize benefits, any larger amount that's allocated to the tenants is probably going to give you a higher incentive rate. And the table on the slide shows our current program year incentives. At this time, incentive rates do step down annually by around 5% or less. And the next incentive step down is currently scheduled to occur this coming June 30th. So what are SOMAH's eligibility requirements? Similar to other programs, this building must have 5 or more units and be an existing building or retrofit. New buildings may qualify, but they can't apply to the program prior to receiving their certificate of occupancy. So unlike build, we are a program that focuses on existing buildings specifically. The building must also have individually metered units, and tenants must receive and be responsible for their own utility bills. So no master metered properties. And lastly, the building must have an active deed restriction and either be located in a disadvantaged community as outlined by Cal and Buyer's Screen. We're currently using both versions 3.0 and 4.0 at the moment, or have 80% of the on-site units be restricted to or below 60% of the area median income. So if you're interested in participating in the SOMAH program, you can submit an application by visiting calsomah.org/apply. If you'd like to receive more information or find out if SOMAH is right for you, your property, your portfolio, we highly encourage you to set up an interest call with our property owner team. We divide our property owner team by nonprofit housing providers and for-profit housing providers. For nonprofit housing providers, you can contact Rachel Diaz, and for-profit, Margie McDonald. And thank you all for joining, and with that, I will pass it off.
Thanks so much. Hello, everybody. My name is Stacy Blumberg, and I'm on the marketing team with the Multifamily Energy Savings Program, or MESP. Next slide, please. For those of you not familiar with MESP, we are a fairly new program. We just launched at the beginning of last year. We are an existing buildings program, so we don't provide incentives for new construction. Like many of the programs that you're hearing about today, eligible properties need to be attached residences with 5 units or more. So we can support condos, townhouses, or plex properties, assisted living buildings, apartment buildings. We can do both in-unit and common areas, and we can serve both market rate and low-income properties. Any low-income properties that participate in MESP do not need to provide any sort of resident income verification to participate or take advantage of our incentives. And in addition to the incentives, which I will talk more about here in just a moment, we do actually provide some additional services, and those are listed here. Measure identification. Our team can provide technical assistance. We can help you determine if you're eligible for the program. We can help with filling out the applications, and we can help with doing the rebate and incentive calculations. And all of these services are free to any of you that want to participate. Next slide, please. So talking about the specific features that we have for our program, we have our standard rebates, custom incentives. I'm going to talk a little more about both of those in just a moment. And we also can provide access to financing, and I'll call out the on-bill financing that there'll be a presentation about later in this presentation. Go to the next slide. So on the standard rebate side of this, so this is basically you buy the equipment, fill out the application, verify that it is qualifying equipment, and then receive a rebate on the equipment. We do have a wide variety of incentives available. Some of the examples are listed here. We can provide rebates on ductless mini splits, heat pump water heaters, smart thermostats, efficient furnaces, Energy Star room air conditioners, gas fireplaces, lighting, and pool and spa heaters. You can find the full list of rebates available on our website, and we will be sharing the website web address at the end of the presentation. Next slide, please. If you are doing a larger project or it's something that is not on the standard rebate list, we can also offer custom incentives. Here are a few examples of some of the common custom incentives that we do provide. Boilers, HVAC projects, domestic water heating, and lighting projects. The one thing to call out is that custom incentives, unlike the standard rebates, do require pre-approval. So if you are looking to do a custom project, please contact our program early so that we can get involved and make sure that we get that pre-approval done for you. Next slide, please. Also want to call out that there are quite a few demand response programs that are offered by PG&E, and our program can also help you get in touch with participating in these. They are peak day pricing, where you can get discounted rates throughout the year and earn savings for reducing and adjusting your energy use during periods of high demand. There's base interruptible, or the BIP, where you can earn a monthly incentive for reducing energy consumption to prescribed levels if you have an average maximum demand of at least 100 kilowatts. There's capacity building. This operates on a day-ahead option and allows you to create a plan that offers flexibility in deciding how you earn incentives by reducing your energy use when you're called upon to do so. And then there's automated demand response, which we can automate energy controls of your choice and help you reach your sustainability goals through credits towards LEED, net zero, and other certifications. And so we've got kind of a project example here about a battery energy storage system, which is one of the opportunities that you have for demand side management. Next slide. So for layering, like many of the programs that we've talked about here, absolutely can layer incentive opportunities for MESP and some of the other programs that you're hearing about today. As Sophia was talking about, really the only thing that limits the layering for MESP incentives is that we cannot offer an incentive on the same type of equipment that you're getting an incentive from a different program, but everything else is open. And so MESP is a great program to use in collaboration with other incentive programs. And this is our contact information. Again, the multifamilyesp.com is definitely a great place to find more information, and you can download the full rebate list. And then we also feel free to reach out to us directly through our email address at connect@multifamilyesp.com, or give us a call. And with that, I will pass it on to Melinda Denon, who's going to tell you about Energy Smart Homes.
Well, good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Melinda Denon. I'm the Program Marketing and Outreach Manager for Energy Smart Homes at TRC. Next slide. So the California Energy Smart Homes program launched in January of this year, and it offers end user rebates for fuel substitution measures in existing buildings, and it also offers new construction incentives for residential new construction of single family and duplex, and multi-family low-rise projects. So Energy Smart Homes encourages the support and inclusion of residential market-ready electric products. So that's electric. So let's electrify everything. It also supports increasing the electric load to support the grid reliability. It encourages reducing emissions from newly constructed buildings, promotes heat pump technology, that's key, and really incentivizes older buildings, older dwelling units to electrify. Next slide. So about the program. The program is administered by PG&E on behalf of the 4 California IOUs and is funded by the CPUC. The team at TRC is implementing the program and supporting participants from enrollment through incentive payment. The program also really focuses on fuel substitution measures in existing buildings that can layer with Tech Clean California. Those incentives can layer, even if it's for the same measure, a heat pump measure. The funding sources are different. So Tech is for alterations and build is for new construction. They are funded by cap and trade dollars. And Energy Smart Homes is funded through the CPUC. So let us help you layer. We cannot layer with the REN programs or local IOU programs. So anyone in the Bay REN area who's taking a heat pump water heater incentive, you have to pick one program or the other since they have the same funding source. Next slide. So eligibility. We've seen this map. I'm sharing it available to customers in these 4 territories. Go ahead and advance the slide. So alteration incentives are available for single family, duplex, and multifamily low-rise, 3 stories or below. There are no deed restriction or affordable parameters around participation. So several of the programs we've heard from this morning do have parameters around that, and Energy Smart Homes is not subject to those measures. I also want to share that California Energy Design Assistance, it's also known as CEDA, is available for those multifamily high-rise projects who are pursuing major alterations. Again, on the screen are the parameters, and we are not subject to deed restriction or affordable properties. Next slide. All right, this is the best part. Show me the money. So again, this is an electrification program. The incentives are for electrifying your project and removing a gas appliance or equipment. So you can make all 4 of these improvements and electrify your entire property, or you could do just one. So let's see, we've got ductless mini splits, central heat pump water heaters, and heat pump clothes dryers. Next slide. Okay, so here's the resources I can share on the program, and we'd love to connect. Let us help you decide if this is right for your project, if you can layer with another program you are already engaged with. Next week, we have a webinar that is focused on the steps on how to enroll an alteration project for one of the measures I just talked about with the heat pump technology. So I encourage you to join us for a Incentives for Electrification Alterations webinar next week, and thank you.
My name's Candace Mary Dauphin. I'm a program manager at Stop Waste. Stop Waste is a public agency that works on behalf of the jurisdictions in Alameda County to promote the sustainable use of resources. Next slide, please. And Stop Waste is also the public agency that represents Alameda County in a broader collaboration called the Bay Area Regional Energy Network. And we are 9 public agencies representing the 9 Bay Area counties, as you see here. And we are managed by the Association of Bay Area Governments. We run many energy efficiency programs across a couple of sectors, and I will be talking today about our multifamily program, the Bay Area Multifamily Building Enhancements Program. Next slide, please. So the program launched in 2013, and since that time, we've upgraded over 600 properties consisting of around 45,000 units. The program was designed to be comprehensive, streamlined, and flexible. So, we work with all types of properties, both, affordable, deed restricted, naturally occurring, as well as market rate. We've worked with HOAs. And we are flexible. We use both custom and deemed measures, which means if you have a unique project, we can take a look at that as if it saves energy. More than likely, we're able to help you with it. In order to be eligible for the BAMBE program, it must be an existing building with 5 or more dwelling units and located within that 9-county Bay Area and receive service by PG&E. So the key offerings for the program is our no-cost technical assistance. So we'll assign you with one technical assistance provider whom you'll work with from the beginning till the end. They'll come in and they'll talk to you about your property, do modeling on what your base energy usage is, and then get some information about your property and come up with a list of recommendations just based on your needs and concerns and also what's going on at your building. And then they'll go out and take a look and do a site visit at your building to confirm, the model and the recommendations that they developed. And then they'll work with you to create a scope of work. In order to qualify for the rebate for our program, your scope of work would have to include 3 or more unique measures. And like I said, we're very flexible as far as what those measures can be. Pretty much most of the energy efficiency measures that have been mentioned so far are eligible. If your scope, once you've submitted a scope of work that's eligible for the program, you would do the work. The work can be done by any contractor. We don't have participating contractors for our program. Once the work is done, your technical assistance provider would go back out, take a look to make sure everything's been done correctly. If you have a question about something, halfway through construction, you can call them up and they can come out and take a look to make sure everything is being properly installed. But at completion, you are then eligible for your rebate, which is $750 per unit in cash rebates, and more is available for electrification as well. So the upgrades may include, like I previously mentioned, anything related to HVAC, upgrades that save energy, domestic hot water rebates or measures, weatherization measures, lighting, appliances, and more. And like I said before, for electrification measures, there is more than that $750 per unit available. Next slide, please. So, like I said, this is meant to be a streamlined participation process and kind of a one-stop shop. You enroll online with the link that's there below, bayrin.org/eligibility. Once you have enrolled, you'll be eligible for your technical assistance. That takes about 4 to 6 weeks for that to get started. Your technical assistance provider will, not only help you with the measures that are eligible for our program, but we have layered in the past with many of the programs that are presenting here today, such as OBF, SOMAH, and LIWP. And, as we're a local government program, we do have local government partners. So we have some non-energy related funding that we're able to layer on top of what we provide as well, and other energy efficiency programs provide. And some of that is dependent on where you're located. As I said before, as a one-stop shop, your technical assistance provider will help you figure that out and whether or not you're a good candidate for some of the additional funding available. So once your scope of work is complete and decided upon, we will reserve your rebate, and then you have about 6 to 12 months to complete your scope of work. We're finding with electrification projects that it does take a little bit longer than that, and we are flexible and understanding for that. So, if it is taking longer, we can commit the funding, the rebate, and kind of carry the project over to another program year. And then, you install the upgrade. Once it's installed, like I said, TA will go back, ensure that everything's done correctly, and then you apply for your rebate, and then we will send the check. Next slide, please. So maybe your head's swimming. Mine is. There's a lot of good information here, but I think there's a lot of programs here that can help you get through all that. And if you do need help, please do consider starting with BayRen. Here's the contact information, our website. You'll find a lot of great information on that first link there. And if you want to connect with someone immediately, you can contact Chris Hunter at chunter@stopwaste.org. Thank you. Pass it on.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amy Dryden. I'm with the Association for Energy Affordability. And today I'm here to speak with you about the Tech Clean California program. Next slide. So what is Tech? I know you've heard it referred to from other program implementers this morning, but Tech is a heat pump market transformation program. It was launched in December of 2021. Our mission is really to assist California in achieving the carbon-free homes by 2025. So the incentives are designed to support retrofits in existing buildings, single family and multifamily, with space conditioning, heat pumps for space conditioning, and heat pumps for water heating. Within the Tech program itself, you can see the Tech activities there. Because it is a market transformation program, there are a number of strategies that are being undertaken. One, obviously the incentives to drive the market, also coupled with a lot of training that I'll mention. We are also developing a number of pilots to try to address specific barriers in the market, and I'll talk about the one specific to multifamily. And then there's activities looking at data and policies, again, to enable full market transformation, so we can make this transition to a decarbonized built environment. It is a 4-year program, 72 million in incentives. There's about 12 million right now for multifamily. The funding, as was mentioned earlier, it's from cap and trade, but it's from the funds allocated to the gas IOU. So that informs our service area in terms of gas IOU territory. And these fundings are directed at addressing greenhouse gas emission reductions and market transformation goals. And as I mentioned, it's an existing buildings retrofit program. Next slide, please. So the eligibility, again, IOU gas territory. So the building or property does not need to be served by the gas utility, but just located within that service territory. These are midstream incentives, so they're going to the contractors and requires enrollment by that contractor within the Tech program. So as owners you can select your own contractor and just need to encourage them and have them enroll in Tech to be approved. The integration, it is match incentives with existing programs. In particular, you heard a number of different programs that this will layer with. If I just keep it to multifamily, we have projects in our pipeline that are layering with BAMBE that Candace just talked about, or LIWP that Sarah spoke about earlier, or different other regional energy network programs. So it really is designed to bring additional dollars to make projects feasible. On the single family side, there's a lot of activity in terms of streamlined applications, really to simplify the contractor experience on that. And the incentives available, again, I mentioned it started December 21st and through December 24th. The next several slides I have are really focused just on the multifamily piece portion of tech. So we have customer eligibility. It's properties with 5 or more dwelling units on the property. So if you have a large complex that's, 20 duplexes, that would qualify as multifamily. It's heat pump water heater and heat pump HVAC incentives, and they can be installed by replacing any non-heat pump system. So we have incentives both for individual as well as central systems on heat pump water heating. We also have incentives for pool and spa heating, if that's appropriate. And then one of the other pieces here, we have incentives for electrical infrastructure upgrades for in-unit apartments, for in-unit panels. Again, our measure structure is desired to layer with others. We have capped on the financial cost of the measures, right? So we're not going to overpay. Just some specifics to be aware of. We have a reservation form. There's some links at the end of this presentation to lock in the incentive amount, and then you can submit for the incentive at completion of the work. We do have a $3 million cap incentive per individual contractor or property owner, so we can ensure distribution of incentives to the market. The project must be completed with 12 months. We do have possible of an extension, and December 31st, 2023 is the deadline for completion. Next slide. So that's kind of the incentives. I'm sorry I didn't put the dollars up. There's a number of there's resources where you can kind of see the dollar amounts per type, per measure type. But the other piece I wanted to pull out here and raise up is that we are doing multifamily pilots for retrofits, where we're looking at addressing specific barriers in multifamily to achieve all electrification of a building and or portfolio. So one is a portfolio roadmap, where we help identify strategies to transition entire portfolio. One is technical assistance to really support central heat pump water heating. And the other one is property electrification readiness. And you can think about that in terms of like unit turnover or electrifying a property over time. And we're here to kind of support owners in kind of working through these strategies, so we can identify opportunities to inform program design for future iterations of tech. It's a limited budget. We have an interest form to engage with us to engage in the pilots, which will be shown at the end. Next slide.
Yeah, Amy, just chiming in here. We have a couple programs to get to, and then the Q&A. So if we can wrap up in like about a minute. I just put a link to the site.
Yep, that's fine. I got 3 slides, a little less than a minute. This is the link to the multifamily interest form. So you can submit that, and AA, as the multifamily lead, can reach out to you and support your participation in tech, as well as layering with other programs. Next slide. The last thing I want to point out is that we do have an electrification hub training platform, where we have on-demand live webinar, live classroom, live field opportunities to support education to all multifamily stakeholders, so we can achieve market transformation and electrification. Next slide. And this is just some upcoming trainings that are available. You can look at those and register through our hub. We're really here to kind of support, again, all stakeholders in kind of making this transition to all electric. In the last slide. For information on tech, you can email techmf@aea.us.org. And then there's links to the incentives. There's links to our stakeholder meetings that summarize all of the tech program available there. And we look forward to working with you all. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Cesar Gargan with the PG&E Ongoing Financing Program. Next slide. Yeah, so PG&E offers ongoing financing on the loan. It's funded by rate period dollars, and as mentioned, administered by the CPUC. What you see on the screen as far as the loan terms available for non-residential customers. And so for multifamily customers, the loan will be applied to your non-residential bill or common areas. So the loans can be paired with the incentive programs mentioned on today's call. And on today's call, with the exception of solar projects, funding is available for all other incentives paired with this program. Funding will be from minimum $5,000 to $250,000 with a 10-year payback with a 0% interest. Next slide. On-bill financing is, as mentioned, as the name would cease to be, is a loan applied to your PG&E bill. We offer 0% interest. Monthly payments are sized based off your projected energy savings, and hopefully we'll consider bill neutral, meaning that the monthly payment should be on average based off your average annual energy savings. As individuals participate and repay the loan, we reissue those funds that previously issued and for future projects. Next slide. Here, what you see here is a sample bill. So once you enroll in the program and you receive the payment for the project, the loan will appear as another other programs and services. And on the final page of the bill, you'll see kind of a summary of the loan amount due that month and remaining balance. So the easy program for those who are billing multifamily customers who own the building to apply and kind of have a single payment for both the PG&E, electric and gas, as well as loan payments. Next slide. As mentioned earlier, preview, their OBF it can be paired with any of the other incentives mentioned earlier. It must be applied for existing building, and loan payments are applied based on in common areas. OBF alternate pathway, in the scenario where you don't qualify for any of the incentive programs, we still offer on-bill financing without being paired with an incentive as well. More information on our website. Next slide. For more information, you will get a copy of this presentation with a link to our public website, which gives you kind of a begin to end as far as what on-bill financing is within the PG&E region, how to apply, and how to get started. A link will be listed on the presentation. And for more information as far as submitting a project without being tied to incentives, we have an online free webinar training for project developers. The link will be listed in the PowerPoint slide as well. Next slide. And if you have any questions regarding the on-bill financing program, we have a general inbox. You're more than welcome to communicate to us as far as to learn more about the on-bill financing program administered by PG&E. With that being said, I'll hand it off to the next presenter.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly, and I am a program specialist here with the GoGreen Multifamily Program. If you could advance to the next slide, please. Thanks. So we're a financing authority administered by the state of California. We're housed in the state treasurer's office, and we are supported, like many of our other programs here today, by the 4 investor-owned utilities with a mission to help them and their customers save energy. And we do this by removing that upfront cost barrier to these investments by offering improved interest rates, longer payback periods, and easier approval for customers. And you might know us by our public-facing platform, GoGreenFinancing.com. Next slide. So similar to the other programs you've heard from today, we have similar requirements for properties, at least 5 units. For the GoGreen Multifamily Program, at least 50% of those units must be income restricted, and there must be at least 5 years remaining on an affordability covenant. We have a separate program called GoGreen Business, which ironically can be used for, which can serve properties that are market rate. So just want to point that out there, but I'm going to focus mostly on the affordable multifamily side today. We have a list of pre-qualified energy saving measures that can be used for both in-unit and common area installation. But measures identified in IOU REN or CCA energy efficiency programs also qualify. They must simply save gas or electricity delivered by PG&E or any IOU if you have properties throughout the state. And it's worth noting that some of the soft costs associated with these types of projects, such as permits or electrical panel upgrades, water heater relocation costs, et cetera, can be included in that financed amount. Next slide, please. We have 2 lenders who are currently offering financing agreements through GoGreen Multifamily. Energy Savings Agreement, where payments are based on your energy savings, or Equipment Financing Agreement. A great thing about these financing options is that they are unsecured or equipment secured, so there are no property liens. I can't provide a good window of rates as it's very project and property specific, but we've worked with these lenders to provide longer terms and lower monthly payments, and improved access for properties that may typically struggle to get financing. And there's some additional details about both of those companies' offerings there on the screen. Next slide, please. So you have heard from a lot of different programs today. Somebody earlier said that your heads must be spinning, and I would totally understand. I want to point out some unique characteristics of GoGreen Multifamily and how this program can be paired with some of the other programs you've heard from today. So we can provide a lot of flexibility. You can use this program to finance single measure upgrades, for example, a new heat pump water heater, and you don't have to participate in any rebate or incentive program or prove energy savings or bill neutrality in order to be eligible. And 30% of the loan can be used for non-energy measures and other kind of renovations or repairs. So if you need to repave your parking lot or build a play structure, that can be covered under our program. And we also play well with others. So an example is, properties could utilize our financing for out-of-pocket costs that remain after applying rebates, like the tech rebates, other programs, grants, or incentives. So for example, you might get rebates for that heat pump HVAC or heat pump water heater, and the remainder of those costs that aren't covered through those rebates could be financed through GoGreen Multifamily. Another example, perhaps you get common area measures covered under EasyCam or OBF, and then opt to use financing for in-unit measures. And of course, it can be used in a complementary manner as well. So for example, the SOMAH program, that's Solar on Multifamily Affordable Housing, requires an energy efficiency audit before solar installation may begin. And property owners could use GoGreen Multifamily to finance any of the energy upgrades that result from such an audit. And our last slide. So a lot of the other programs, right, they are offering funds and free money, and we recommend that you take advantage of those. We are also offering a little bit of a nice benefit to take advantage of in our program. So we're excited to share that we're sponsoring a limited time interest rate buy down promotion to reduce the cost of financing those energy upgrades. This could bring the cost of financing all the way down to, or at least near 0%. We have $50,000 available. It's available on that first come, first served basis, and it must be reserved by June 30th of this year. So if you're a bit farther along in scoping out a retrofit energy efficiency upgrade project and you're ready to get started soon, this might be a great opportunity for you. You can see from that table an example of an equipment financing agreement for $50,000, and normally perhaps that interest rate would be 8.31% with a payback term of 84 months. And with our promotion and with the funds that we're able to provide you, we can bring that monthly payment down by about $200 and ultimately save a property $16,000 in interest over the life of that loan. So a really exciting opportunity. Again, those funds must be reserved by June 30th, and the project would have to be completed by the end of October of this year. So we're looking for projects that are a little bit farther along. In any case, if you're interested in this interest rate buy down promotion or have other questions about GoGreen Multifamily, the first step to get started is to contact me. My email is right there on the screen and is also available on that next slide. And there's some more information about our program as well, some contact emails. And with that, I will pass it off to the next presenter.
Thank you so much, Kelly. This is Joshua again from the PG&E SPOC service. So we totally understand that was a lot hearing from all those programs, and we want to make sure that if you have specific questions to them, we can get to some of those in an upcoming Q&A session. But I just want to take this moment to reemphasize that the single point of contact service is definitely a great place to come if you're not sure which of those programs is best for you, or if you're interested maybe in a program that wasn't mentioned today. So we do also refer customers to other programs that maybe are limited to smaller geographic areas or for more narrow scopes of projects. For example, there's MCE offers the Multifamily Energy Savings Program, which offers rebates as well as comprehensive assessments and technical assistance for energy and water saving measures. in MCE territory. If you have a multifamily property and you meet certain income requirements, you can benefit from their LIFT, Low Income Families and Tenants version of that program as well. Moving to a different region, if you're in the Sacramento area, SMUD has a multifamily program that's a great option for energy efficiency upgrades or electrification. I'm putting links to these programs in the chat now. But again, you can always come to the single point of contact service for a refresh on what might be available in your area. We refer customers to new construction programs such as Build and Energy Smart Homes, who presented earlier, CEDA, who was mentioned for assistance with high-rise projects, and also in SMUD, they have a smart home program. EV charger programs, we found that those kind of come and go quite quickly, so you can definitely come to us to find the most up-to-date information on what's offered. And then there's also programs that focus on renewables, like PG&E's Self-Generation Incentive Program. Put a link to that quickly. Just grabbing the link. That program helps customers with rebates for generation equipment like battery storage, wind turbines, and more. And then also there's a few other financing programs that are less common that we can discuss with you. And finally, water and air quality management districts often have programs. So you can come to SPOC to learn more about any of those offerings, and we'll happily give you an overview and direct you to the appropriate contacts. With that, I think we have time for some Q&A. So let me look at the questions that have been submitted. Okay, so we had a couple questions already answered in the chat. There will be a recording. This recording will be sent over email early next week. There's a question for BAMBE, Candice, maybe if you can get to this. They're wondering about how long the process typically takes to get to the scope of work and recommendations, and then the best way to find eligible counties.
So the process, you know, like I said, it usually takes 4 to 6 weeks to start to get in the queue. But once you're in the queue, it doesn't really take long at all. It varies, but I would say about a month typically. And then, you know, all Bay Area counties, the 9 Bay Area counties are eligible. You can go on the website and see if you're in one of those counties. And as far as, I don't know if this is a question for the additional resources that we sometimes are able to layer on. Our technical assistance provider will help you out with that. Right now in Sonoma County, we have an electrical panel upgrade incentive that is provided through Sonoma Clean Power that's available, and soon we'll also be working with AEA to provide some additional funding for health-related measures, building-related measures, and that'll be available to Contra Costa and Alameda County. But like I said, your technical assistance provider will help you navigate through that.
Thank you so much. We have quite a few questions for LIWP, the Low Income Weatherization Program. One is just a quick clarification on the affordability requirements. What percentage of tenants at the 80% area median income?
66%.
Great. And then there was a question about the timeline for the new funding. Is that when exactly that will be available? You know, how you'll be working off the wait list?
We're going to start pulling the wait list right now, and we have the opportunity to do what we're calling the provisional reservations as of this month. So we're going to get started on scope development as of this month, and that would be for projects that can complete between now and 2024.
Great. And then, there's also a question about how contractors can participate in the LIWP program and whether they should use that interest form, or are there trade ally opportunities, or how contractors should get involved?
Good question. So just like Candace mentioned for Bayren, the LIWP program allows for the property owners to choose their own contractors and contract with them directly. So, but contractors can contact the program through the website if they want to, and there's an opportunity to have contractors have their information listed on the website. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out through the website. However, it is the choice of the property owners themselves to choose their own contractors.
Thank you so much. One thing really quickly, last minute update we didn't get to make on my previous slide about all the different things SPOC can point you to. A great example of one of those local areas programs is 3C-REN's Multifamily Home Energy Savings Program. I just put a link to that in the chat. I believe that's in the San Luis Obispo area. It's more regionally focused. So definitely, if you're in that area, give that link a click. And then I have maybe a concluding question, as we have final 5 minutes, to the programs that offer technical assistance. Maybe an explanation of exactly what type of technical assistance you provide, or maybe how they might be different from each other. Trying to think the best order to get the programs through here. Maybe I should just go down the list.
Josh, I'm happy to kick it off for build, if that's helpful. Hi, everybody. This is Sophia Harkoff speaking related to the build program. That was one of the new construction programs we spoke about today for electrification. Technical assistance is a very, very integral component of this program. There's a lot of time being invested in supporting developers and their teams in overcoming any barriers they may be facing as it relates to electrifying and doing all electric new construction. There have been some parameters set in place throughout technical assistance. The Energy Commission at this point has published that they are capping the number of hours quite generously at 300 hours per applicant. So that is something that is a certain parameter, but I would say otherwise the technical assistance and the type of assistance that's available is quite broad and should be customized to each project or whatever developer needs are, with the intent of helping developers overcome any barriers they're facing or their design teams as it relates to going all electric.
Thank you. BAMBE, could you speak to the technical assistance you provide?
Sure. So yeah, just really taking a look at building conditions and helping the property owner understand current building conditions as they relate to energy efficiency. Looking for energy efficiency opportunities throughout the building. It's kind of a comprehensive approach. Assisting the property owner in developing an eligible scope of work. Assisting the property owner in navigating other programs that our program cannot necessarily help with from a financial perspective. And then for participation in the clean heating pathway, which is our electrification pathway, is developing a long-term plan to help the property owner phase eventually into an all-electric building.
Thank you. And then EasyCam, the technical assistance you provide?
Yeah, so for EasyCam technical assistance, again, kind of has been said, it varies very widely, but we typically assign individuals to your property to be on site and assist with everything, including site audits, benchmarking with meter data, construction oversight, field and installation and verifying that everything is done correctly. We typically assign people to be with your property quite often and making sure that everything runs smoothly.
Great. Let's see who else. SOMAH?
Yeah, I can speak to that. I'm Victoria Leslie here, the SOMAH program. So again, our technical assistance varies. Our technical assistance is for property owners and contractors. Since the SOMAH application is so long, it can take up to 18 months and there's multiple milestones. We help with energy efficiency and compliance requirements, referrals to other programs, solar sizing for the PV system. If you're a property owner and you would like to compare bids from contractors, we help with that. Virtual net energy metering allocations, financing, understanding your future utility bills, and stuff like that. And I don't believe there's any hour cap. And for our program as well, you would get assigned to kind of a technical assistance project manager.
Great. And then MESP, do you also provide technical assistance?
We do, yeah. We have engineers on the program that, and again, I hate to be repeating what everybody else said, really kind of will vary based on the needs of the individual property, but they can help you determine which equipment would be the most appropriate, help with those savings calculations, and connect you with contractors for the installation. It really runs the gamut based on kind of what the needs of the property are.
Great. Am I forgetting any property that offers technical assistance, program that offers technical assistance?
This is LIWP. I can jump in. LIWP can offer benchmarking at the early stages of design development, constructability and feasibility for electrification from early stages of design, bid specifications, and product specifications, as well as support through the bid process, construction, solar feasibility, and then post-installation utility analysis as well.
Great. We're just about at time, but one more quick question to GoGreen. Just need to find it. The question is, when does the project need to be completed to qualify for the low interest promotion?
Yeah, the project needs to be completed by the end of October.
Great. All right. With that, I just want to emphasize again, if you have questions for specific programs, you can reach out to them with the information we've provided. We'll send a copy of these slides and you can get the links that way. But if you don't know where to start, definitely come reach us at the single point of contact service. You'll receive a brief pop-up survey when this webinar concludes. It would be really great if you let us know through that survey if you want to hear back from any of these programs, and they can contact you directly that way as well as let us know about how to get this sort of information about program layering to you in the future. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Once again, my name is Joshua Niederhood, and I look forward to hearing from you coming to the single point of contact service in the future. Thank you so much, everybody.